All right, let's just dive right in. We're about to take a hard look at everything you think is solid, everything you think is true. I mean, everything from the very chair you're sitting on to the light hitting your eyes from this screen. We are going on a journey to figure out what reality is actually made of.
So, let's start with a really direct question. I want you to look around you right now. That table, that cup of coffee, the room you're in. Is it all truly there, exactly as you see it? Or, and just entertain the thought for a second, could it be that what you're experiencing is an incredibly convincing, elaborate construct?
To even begin to unpack a question that big, we have to go way, way back. See, this isn't some new age idea. For thousands of years, some of the smartest people on the planet have wondered if our senses are actually showing us the truth or something else entirely. And our first stop is ancient Greece.
Plato gave us probably one of the most powerful metaphors for this entire problem. It's his famous allegory of the cave. Imagine this. There are prisoners who've been chained up their whole lives, forced to face a wall. All they can see are shadows cast from a fire behind them. For them, those flickering shadows are reality. That's all they know. Plato's big point was, what if we're all just like those prisoners? What if we're mistaking the shadows our senses show us for the real world? And what's wild is that this wasn't just some isolated idea in ancient Greece. Thousands of miles away, in Hindu philosophy, you find the concept of Maya, and it suggests something remarkably similar, that the world we see and touch is really an illusion, a kind of veil that hides a much deeper ultimate truth. You've got two completely different cultures arriving at basically the same, very unsettling conclusion.
So, for a really long time, these philosophical head-scratchers kind of took a back seat. A new, much more confident way of seeing the world came along, the scientific revolution. And it promised to finally give us the real, objective, final truth about how reality works.
For centuries, it really felt like Isaac Newton had given us the final answer key to the universe. He described a cosmos that worked like a giant, flawless clock. You had space, which was this fixed, absolute stage. You had time, which ticked forward at the same rate for absolutely everyone, and everything in it moved according to these perfect, unbreakable laws. It was solid, it was predictable, it was a reality that just made sense. And look, this clockwork model was incredibly powerful. It let us understand gravity, map out the solar system, and build the foundations of our modern world. It really felt complete, like we'd figured it all out. But as our tools got better and our experiments got more precise, some strange little results started popping up, things that just didn't fit the model. The solid ground of reality was about to start shaking. And the person who basically walked in with a sledgehammer to that perfect clockwork universe was, of course, Albert Einstein. He didn't just point out a crack in Newton's model, he completely shattered it. And then he rebuilt our entire understanding of space, time, and gravity right from the foundations. So here's the gist of Einstein's revolution. First, he realized space and time aren't two different things. Nope, they're woven together into a single four-dimensional fabric called space-time. Second, massive objects like the sun don't pull the Earth with gravity, they actually bend and warp that fabric of spacetime, and planets are just rolling along in the curves. And this leads to the most mind-bending part of all. Your reality, your experience of time passing, is totally relative.
I mean, really think about what this means. You have an astronaut flying past Earth at near the speed of light. From our perspective down here, we'd see their clock ticking incredibly slowly. But here's the kicker. From their spaceship, they would look at us and see our clocks ticking slowly. So who's right? And Einstein's unbelievable answer is, both of you. There is no single universal now that we all share. Your reality depends entirely on where you are and how you're moving. Just as scientists were trying to wrap their heads around Einstein's warped reality, a whole other revolution was kicking off. Physicists started probing the world of the very, very small, the subatomic realm. And what they found there? Well, it makes relativity look like simple addition. And this leads us to the most bizarre, almost unbelievable puzzle in all of science. What if, at the most fundamental level, things aren't really real until we decide to look at them? What if reality itself is just sitting there, waiting for an observer to show up and make it choose?
Okay, so the core idea here is called superposition. Before you measure a tiny particle like an electron, it doesn't have a definite location. It's not here and it's not there. Instead, it exists as a sort of probability cloud of all the possible places it could be, all at the same time. It's only when you make a measurement, when you look, that it snaps into one single location.
This is the weird idea behind Schrödinger's cat, which is famously both alive and dead until you open the box.
So how on earth do we make sense of this? The truth is, physicists don't even agree. On one side, you have the classic Copenhagen interpretation, which says your observation forces that cloud of possibilities to collapse into one single reality. But then there's the many worlds interpretation, which is even wilder. It suggests that every single possibility is real. When you make that measurement, the universe itself splits, creating a parallel reality where each and every outcome actually happens. Okay, deep breath. We've been from ancient Greece to the edge of the cosmos with Einstein, and down into the spooky quantum realm. Now we're going to bring this whole journey home, right inside your own head. Because the final and maybe most shocking piece of this puzzle isn't out there in the universe. It's in here. Modern neuroscience is discovering something absolutely profound. Your brain does not act like a camera, passively recording the outside world. Not even close. It is actively building your reality every single moment. It takes in all this messy, ambiguous data from your senses, mashes it up with your memories and expectations, and then makes its best possible guess about what's actually out there. A really powerful way to think about this comes from a cognitive scientist named Donald Hoffman. He suggests we think about our perception like the user interface on a computer. You know, the icons on your desktop? That little blue folder icon? It isn't the actual folder full of complex code and electrical circuits on your hard drive. Of course not. It's a simple, useful graphic that lets you interact with that deeper reality without having to be an electrical engineer. Hoffman argues that evolution did the exact same thing for us. It gave us an interface designed for one thing, to help us survive, not to see the truth.
So think about this difference. The territory, what's actually out there according to physics, is just a bunch of different wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation. But your brain's interface creates the rich, subjective experience of the color blue. The territory is a swarm of atomic fields that is almost entirely empty space, but your interface presents you with a solid object you can knock on. It's not a lie. It's a useful, simplified translation.
So after all of this, Plato, Newton, Einstein, quantum physics, neuroscience, where does that leave us? We've seen again and again that the reality we experience every day might not be the real reality. What we have is a map. And as that old saying goes, the map is not the territory. Let's just do a lightning round recap of this absolutely wild journey. We started with the idea that reality could be nothing more than a shadow play or a cosmic illusion. Physics then told us it's a bendable fabric of space-time, and on the smallest scales, it's just a fuzzy cloud of pure probability. And to top it all off, neuroscience suggests it might all be a user interface, a simulation, built by our own brains. The one constant seems to be, the deeper we look, the less real reality gets.
But here's the crucial thing. This does not mean your reality is fake or wrong. Even if it is just a map or an interface, it's an unbelievably effective one. It's so good that we can use its rules to build phones and fly planes. The GPS in your car has to account for Einstein's warp spacetime just to work correctly. The chip in your phone is a product of those bizarre quantum rules. Whatever our map is, it works spectacularly well.
And that leaves us right here, staring at the ultimate question. We have this incredible, functional map that allows us to navigate the world and build civilizations, but we also have all this powerful evidence that it is, in fact, just a map. So the profound mystery, the question that drives so much of science and philosophy, is simply this. What does the territory itself actually look like?